right. Welcome to another podcast for Art of Intelligence. Today we have a distinguished member of the AI community. We have Miss Natalie Lambert, who is the founder and managing partner at GenEdge Consulting, which is a leader in driving innovation in marketing through Gen AI. Natalie, thank you for your time and thank you for taking the time to chat with us at Art of Intelligence today.
Thank you
How
so
are
much.
you?
I'm honored to be here.
Thank you very much. So, Art of Intelligence, just for people that don't know, is a podcast that is really more for bite sized digestion of what AI has the possibilities to do. In my day to day job, I talk to a lot of customers, and many customers would love to have AI in their processes, but don't really know what they can do with AI. So that's why we created Art of Intelligence, and that's why we have the wonderful Miss Natalie here. Natalie, before we get started, I'd like to ask you the same question we ask all of our guests, which is, if money was no object, if time was no object, what would be a vacation that you would like to have?
So I'm taking liberties with this one in the sense that you said time is no object money. So I'm going to pretend I can move time and make this
Ooh,
all work.
I like that.
But one of my favorite things to do in just personal life and way of relaxing is I love photography. So I love going to places where it's incredibly picturesque and where I can take pictures and then do nothing because I am constantly on the go. And so there's two very specific places I want to do nothing and take pictures in. Leaves and the Northern Lights, specifically in Finland. And I've found this resort that is in a tree house that overlooks. So I have this dream of going to Finland first because I'm in my mind, it's colder. So we hang out there for 4 or 5 days in a tree house, looking at the Northern Lights and taking pictures and just relaxing there and having these tree houses with full glass. Like I just have this whole picture ready.
I
And then
love it.
flying to the Maldives where the glass, instead of in front of us, is on the floor. And I can look down at the ocean and take pictures of,
Oh,
of
wow.
all the marine life. So it's a look up, look down, look all around, have beautiful sights all around you and relax in nature.
Wow. That sounds wonderful. That's one of the best answers that I've heard since we started this podcast. So I really like that. Finland and the Maldives sounds so exciting. I really would love to do the Maldives. Finland, I never even thought of before. I guess because I live in the cold, I don't want to go back to cold, but
Well, I
Maldives
never thought of
sounds
Finland
great.
for this either until my friend showed me a picture, showed me an Instagram photo of where she was going for Christmas this year. And I saw that picture and I like added it to my bucket list right
Oh,
then and
yeah.
there. So I actually would have never thought, I always thought Iceland and things like that for the Northern Lights, but I think it's just this resort too that looks so amazing.
Wow. Wow. I'm gonna have to find a resort that does this. Maybe even put it in the comment section below in this podcast. We'll see. Yeah, that sounds wonderful. To go back to the podcast a little bit, Miss Natalie, we met, or at least we worked at the same place at the beginning of my IT career at Forrester Research when I was a lonely sales guy in charge of the Southeast United States, Las Vegas and Southern California. And since then, a lot of things have happened to both of us. I went on to AWS, you went on to Google. You've done a couple of things, CMO of two successful startups that were both acquired. You've done quite a bit in your career. Can you give us a little background on yourself, on your AI journey?
Sure. So I think the things that matter is just the breadth of marketing roles that I've had in my career to help enable the understanding of AI's applicability in marketing. So from Forrester, I went to work for one of my favorite clients, which was Citrix, and held a wide variety of product marketing roles. From there, I went on a journey at two different startups where I ran marketing. So that went from more of a single single stay in your lane role of product marketing to much broader, owning all of the different elements that are part of the marketing role to really start expanding the understanding of all of the different functions and roles that marketers play. It was then that I went to Google and got siloed again back into storytelling. But it was there when AI became this giant conversation,
Mhm.
and they were looking for somebody to help figure out where AI could have an outsized impact for marketers. And it was really a perfect kind of segue for me wanting to do something new. Because not only did I know the Google ecosystem, but I had held such a wide variety of roles that I could start to figure out which use cases, technologies would play a role in supporting marketers. So it was really in that role that my AI journey began. I probably was hands-on with between 80 and 120 different AI technologies during that time. We ran down 20 or 30 different use cases, always picking a use case. I would narrow the vendor set down from 10 to 3. We'd run it through its paces and figure out what were the best practices and what were the best technologies to do each of these things. And it was just a great opportunity.
So kind of like
And
a Forrester wave.
it was, I actually laughed that I thought my Forrester days absolutely played a nice role in being able to do those evaluations, so to speak, and plot them on the specific matrix. But yeah, it was doing all of that that I realized that Google is Google. There's like a million people helping support them bring AI into the organization, but not all organizations have that capability and have that ability. So I thought it would be fun to go out on my own and help marketing organizations around the world figure out how to leverage AI and bring that into their workflows. So it has been an absolutely amazing journey. I've been doing this for almost a year and a half now,
Wow.
and built up a great client base, but just continue to get to learn more every day and play with these tools. It's been an absolute joy.
That's fantastic. It's very interesting to see how many of us Forresterites have moved into things like this. I think we all cut our teeth on learning how George Forrester Colony was doing things with him, and then Giga and all of the mixing of all of the different things with the wave. And man, that was really the best job that I think I've ever had, as working for Forrester back in 2006 and 2007. That really was the funnest year I've ever worked in IT. I remember George having his late night jazz sessions in Las Vegas at 2 o'clock in the morning. It was fun. So AI has really evolved, especially in the last 2 years. We've really seen a lot of things really push. And now you've got NVIDIA, who $1 trillion valuation, and coming down now to losing $450 billion in their valuation after DeepSeek came out. And you've got the US government now banning DeepSeek. There's a lot of different things going around, and it's exciting. It's scary. A lot of companies that we're seeing are using Gen AI to make things easier, faster, make their customers' experience that much better. And you can tell the companies that have dived deep into an AI type focus, because their stuff is just that much more intuitive online. You really are enjoying the things it pushes to you, or the ability to also bought this, and you're like, oh yeah, I do like that. Like, these kind of things are really awesome. What are your views on AI as a whole for the community? I know this is your world. This is what you've been doing for the last year and a half and before that. But what is your general view of AI today in the world?
Anyone who knows me would laugh at the comment I'm about to make because I do not consider myself an optimist.
Ha!
I'm probably quite the opposite as a human being. However, I believe, especially in the professional world, I look at AI from such a positive light, or in a positive light. I know that there's going to be implications to work, and there's going to be implications to jobs, and that's going to impact a lot of people. But I think we're going to have impacts for the bad, job loss, and impacts for the good, new roles created. But what I can say in terms of the teams that I work with, as well as just my own use of AI, specifically, I believe it's made work fun again. And I think people who have been following me and seen in my kind of LinkedIn posts and my journey talking about this, I believe AI brings a partner to the work we do. I think so many of us work in a silo. Yes, we might work on a big team and share content out or share different things we do or work on a big program together. But a lot of that is also done by yourself sitting at a computer. And I have personally had so much fun working with AI to brainstorm to create a piece of content, to flesh out my own ideas on a topic. I generally believe that AI gives us a partner and somebody to run up the hill with as we create this work. And I've talked to product marketers who are really scared of AI and scared that their job would be replaced immediately when these technologies got smart enough. And I'll never forget this one product marketer who came up to me and said, "Well, I was very worried to start using this. I now don't think it's going to take my job because I have expertise that it doesn't," which is certainly true for the time being. But I had a partner in crime in creating all of the different deliverables that I had to do. And for me, I choose to look at AI as a partner, one in which the human is very much required to be in the loop, and that subject matter expert is required to be part of it. But it is a partner, and I'll stand by that.
It's a fantastic answer. And I totally agree with you that AI is a partner. I do think that there are going to be folks that will be left on the wayside, but it's not because of AI. It's because we're moving into a different technology. And if you know how to incorporate that technology into your day to make your life easier, you're going to be able to get 10x of what you would if you weren't using AI, because you're going to be stuck in the minutia of building this, taking this code, trying to put this and mix it into that, and it's create a picture. Even the silliest things like the pictures for artificial intelligence or the art of intelligence website and the logo all came from AI. So if I hadn't had that, it would take me so much longer to create. So the folks that are using AI are going to have that much more of a work output as opposed to the ones that aren't using it. So I don't think that it's a bad thing, but I do think if you're not jumping on board, you're going to be left behind. I would highly recommend everybody use AI for that reason.
Yeah, but I want to actually hit on something you said, which is you focused on, and I know you mean more than that, but I just want to pick on this as a point.
Sure.
You've said like it's enabled me to do things faster. Yes, it absolutely has. But I think there's also looking at how can I get it done faster, cheaper, all of those different things that have quantifiable metrics. But there's also the aspect of getting it done better or being done differently in more creative ways than I would have thought. And the other thing that I think will help people start to find more joy in their jobs when using AI is truly outsourcing the total crap work that we get. One of the eye-opening use cases that I'll show in my trainings, which is really stupid, but it just shows how we're not using our imagination when thinking about these technologies, is I have a great example of a client who sent me a copy paste of a spreadsheet to add 100 people to this list. That's what they wanted me to do. But the way they provided these names, they copy and pasted a spreadsheet and put it in an email. Unfortunately, the way that came through, it was essentially an image. It was not something that I could take the
Paste.
columns and
Yep.
paste it in. Like it wasn't there. And old Natalie would have been like, shit, thanks so much. Thanks for nothing. Like
Now
I
I'm going
now
to be
have to
typing out
go.
for the next
Yes,
2 hours. Yeah.
exactly. I
Yeah.
now have to go type it out. And you kind of take a step back and say, you know what? Let's just take a screenshot of this, give it to AI and say, can you give me a list of the names that are in this image? And the AI 30 seconds later spit out the list of 100 names. And I know that is a ridiculous use case, but it's so resonant with people because you have those moments where you get that email of this task that you just do not want to do when you have that oh shit moment. And one of the things that I'll tell people now is when you get that email and you have that visceral reaction of how awful this is going to be to do, that's where AI thrives. That is where you make yourself rethink how the task is done and say, could I give this to AI? And so not only do you have a partner, not only can you sometimes do things better and faster and cheaper and all of those, you can actually get rid of the crap in so many cases. So it really does just elevate the work satisfaction or personal satisfaction for the things we have to do on a day-to-day basis.
I love it. That exact scenario. Being in my former company, there was a lot of events that we did, and that exact scenario has happened so many times where people have sent me a long list and I've been out there typing the names out. All right, this person can get in, this person can get in. Yeah, that would have been so much easier if I had been smart enough to think about it. But
I know, and
you
I'll tell
know,
you, one of my clients was it was funny. I was going through this example, and it was a field marketing team, and they started laughing, and they're like, "That's good, but how about our sales teams who just give us a piece of paper with notes written on it saying follow up with these people?" And we literally in that session, I took a picture of the piece of paper with my phone, gave it to AI, and said, "Will you please create a table of the contacts, the email addresses, and whatever notes the salesperson took associated with them." And there we had a table. So it can be
awesome.
applied to so many different areas.
Yeah, and in that same scenario, you could also have it connect to that particular company and find out what's that company going through. What is has do you have any information on this particular
Yep.
person? What have they been looking at? If you can find enough information to connect it to, you really could do sky's the limit. So I agree with you. I agree with everything that you're saying. It's this AI thing is definitely, I think we've barely scratched the surface of AI. I think it's been around. The idea has been around since Isaac Asimov and well before. But I think that we're really now getting into the nitty-gritty of being able to sink our teeth into the use cases. One of our prior guests on the podcast was telling us about the difference between learning models and the ability to actually use the AI and how that's going to be a big difference from teaching to and RAG and all of the rest that comes along with the search capabilities for Gen AI. Can you give us your favorite use case or unique use case for AI, what you feel would benefit people, humanity today or in the future?
That is such a loaded question because
Yeah,
there's
I know
just
it is.
so many things. I'm going to answer this on three dimensions. I'll go into one of them more
Please.
deeply than the other. But from a humanity standpoint, I think the advances that are coming in medicine and more specifically, like cancer diagnoses, there was that report that came out 6 months or so ago around AI being able to detect breast cancer 4 years early. And you're just starting to see more and more about how AI can parse through data at speeds never imaginable and look at scans differently because of all of the data that it has access to, and just being able to diagnose and see things that the human eye can't. So I think from a humanity standpoint, that is one of the things that I'm most excited about. From a personal standpoint, one of the things that I love to do is create tools to simplify my life. Yes, as a child, I taught myself web development and I could code websites, but I was never an app developer by any stretch. But AI has enabled me to do that. So I have all sorts of mini apps that I have built for all aspects of my life to simplify things, such as when should I use points versus dollars on a vacation, and what's the appropriate the trade-off between using one versus other. I have others around if I'm at the store, which credit card should I use with all my credit cards because I'm a point person and they all have the different rules that change around spending models. So
Wow.
I basically, whenever there is something complex that I have to look up 3 times or more, I'll create a tool to let me automate that. And so I can just simply ask it or put in a number and I get an answer. So I think for me, and maybe that's just the nerd in me, but
Mm.
being able to create apps for all aspects of my life to simplify decision making is always fun. And then from a professional standpoint, in terms of the folks that I work with in marketing, one of the things that AI enables us to do that I think is relatively unique compared to what we could have done before is I love this idea of building personas and building personas for not only all of the different people we sell to, but across the various stages that they might be on a buyer's journey
Mm.
and using them to evaluate every single thing we do. For example, even in my own business, if I'm writing a blog or I'm building a course or I'm doing something, I have created Genevieve. Genevieve is my marketing leader who I ask, what do you think about this? What do you not agree with? What is not clear? what could be made better. And Genevieve gives me real honest and direct feedback. While I might not take 100% of it, I'm generally up at the 70 plus percent. And having all of these personas in my back pocket was just something as a marketer over the last 20 years I didn't have access to. Like everybody says, oh, well, go share it with a customer. That's so much easier said than done. Every marketer's heard it and they want to pull their hair out. But if you can start to create these different personas to evaluate and give feedback, you start to be able to use AI to truly create something better than you could have done without it. And that's where I think there's so much potential here to elevate marketing, because so many of the things we do have like applicability to personas or anything in which AI could play an outsized role. And I really love working with my clients to build out all of their personas so that no piece of content, no strategy, no event theme, whatever the case may be, is ever brought to market without getting these additional feedback layers built in.
Wow. You just blew my mind. That is from a dyed-in-the-wool sales guy. I've been doing sales for 30 years at this point, and having something like that that I can throw questions at. Hey, Bob,
Mhm.
executive at an IT company who has
Yep.
300 employees and was born in 1976 in North America and has two children and has gone through the 2008 this and now works in consumer packaged goods, but was working in this. What do you think about me coming to you with a discount at the end of the year as opposed to coming to you with more value for my contract when I send it to you? Well, Bob, I'm going to tell you blah, blah, blah. So I think that's
It's so true. And
amazing.
it was funny. I was doing a workshop with about 60 people recently, and I had everyone build a persona for somebody they sold to. And there was a gentleman from the public sector there. He was now at an agency, but he had been the CIO of a state government in the past. So he decided to build a persona on the state that he was at. And he was laughing hysterically in a great way, because it literally talked about like the level of education he had, how many kids, what he did in his free time. Like when you build out a persona well, it actually includes all of that stuff,
That's
as
amazing.
well as the stuff that keeps them up at night and are the pressures that their boss is putting on them and that the team is putting them on and all these things. And he was reading this, and there were definitely, it wasn't pulling his resume by any stretch, but he literally looked at this and goes like, this is right. This is
That's
absolutely
perfect.
right. So
That's
it's
such a
pretty
game
amazing.
changer for so many things like that, for sales, not only
Hmm.
for IT, but for government contracts, for negotiations. There's so many things that you could build into that. So anything that's coming out of right field that you don't really know. Oh, by the way, did you know that September is when budgets are made? If you do this after October, this particular type person probably won't have any money for you. And yeah, that's very valuable. CBS did something not on an AI basis, but they did something similar where they built out personas. I don't know if, but every CBS has a style for that area. And they have their female names, like this is the Marion, this is the Georgia, this is Sally. And they look at an area, they see how many people have gone to college, how many people are blue collar workers, what kind of things do they spend their money on, what are the buildings around the CVS, and then the population amount. And then they build out a persona of colors and locations of things that talk directly to the people that they've found, really going into that place so they can do out their arch rival Walgreens. And this isn't exactly that, but it does remind me of to be able to get what you want, you really need to understand what your customer wants. And having a customer that or a customer persona who is going to be able to give you the information back that you didn't even think about by having the entire World Wide Web at their access. That's so exciting. I think that is a phenomenal use case. I really like that one.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the one that gets a lot of my clients most excited, because we've just gone through all the ways that you can question it and all of those things, but you can just take it a step further, which is, let's imagine you have a persona built out for somebody who is in manufacturing, a CIO in manufacturing, and then a CIO in financial services, as an example, and you build them out. Imagine you have this piece of content. You could actually give it to them and say, based on your feedback, can you rewrite this so that it is valuable to this audience? And so not only are you getting content that is much more relevant, uses their words, focuses on the regulations that matter, and all of that, you're also able to do it in fractions of a second. You're no longer needing these giant content teams that are trying, like doing the research and having to build this out. I can create all of those industry focused ones or role focused ones really easy when you've spent the time building out the personas.
Yeah, I think I remember back in our days in Forrester, there was the 13 personas that had come out, the infrastructure and operations.
Ian Oliver, I will never forget.
It was awesome to have because you had exactly what everyone was interested in at that moment. And everything was written based off of those leadership roles.
I wonder if there's something under the surface that I remember at Forrester, which is why I love these personas so much. I know at the time I wanted to pull my hair out, but I wonder if there's just something stirring beneath the surface there that has led me in that direction. It's funny you mentioned it.
We all carry with us all the lessons that we learned at Forrester. Great company, and George is a great guy. So we're coming up on the end of our podcast, but I do want to give you a moment. You said that you had some things that were coming up. Could you tell us about what's going on next with GenEdge and you?
Yeah, so my biggest focus is just working with marketing teams to help them elevate the work they do and get a better impact with using AI. I would say for any folks out there that have marketing teams, please don't hesitate to get in touch. But one of the exciting things that I am launching on February 28th is my next Maven course, which is a hands-on AI skills for marketers about transforming content creation and strategy. And this is what we'll do, what we talked about today. Not only doing research and building out personas to help make your content better, but building out custom AI specialists to help you with your content. So imagine you've got both sides of the coin. You've got custom agents, I don't want to use the word agents here, custom specialists that are focused on helping you scale your content in your voice, in your brand, and all of those things that matters to you. At the same time, being able to spin it for the various audiences that you speak to. So it's a great course, and I invite anyone who's listening to register and learn how to build these personas yourself.
Yeah, and I'll have a link on the bottom at the end of this website. So fantastic, Natalie. You have been wonderful. This has been a great bite-sized piece of information for those that are listening while they're running or driving to work this morning. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone, since that is the day this will be released. And go check out Natalie and her Maven course and keep listening to the Art of Intelligence. Thanks, everybody. Till next time, Art of Intelligence podcast. We love you.